Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Weekly Spark. It is a gorgeous spring day and the windows are open and there's a breeze and I've got some paper and some stamps on the table. I found a seed catalog image of a real close-up picture of a bee on a flower. I cut it out. I don't know what kind of flower it is. And that's going to inspire my palette and the page because that's what it feels like today. It feels like spring and things are blooming. And yeah, it's going to be a spring-inspired, just real simple page with some stamping. I think some collage, maybe some sprays. Who knows? We'll see what sparks ideas for me. Let me turn the camera around and we'll get started. Okay, so here's my image. Little guy sipping nectar out of the flower. And I think I want to keep it relatively simple because I like this. I'm thinking, you know, framed with a border, but then things over here that relate to it. So I'm not too worried about continuity or composition. I'm just going to play. Today I'm using gloss gel medium as my glue. So there, I've broken up the white a little bit. I have some Titan Green Pale, which I love. And I don't think that it has to go everywhere, but I want to put a little bit on that end of the spread. Just scrubbing it in with a cheap chip brush. I'm going to hit the remaining space with a little Titan buff. And that way I have a first layer down with the text kind of obscured, so it's just, you know, a visual element, and the white of the paper vanished. Okay. So I think this guy's just going to be centered, and I don't usually center things, but with this image as my inspiration, I want it to really be the focus. Okay, so not totally centered. Did get a little paint on the image, and you can sometimes get some of that off if you get to it right away. So we can continue that leaf. That'll connect things. I don't need to do any other connecting. All right, let me grab some green paint. I want some of the background stickiness to dry before I start stamping things. I'm actually going to grab the gesso, and I want to try something. Stamping into the gesso works. I know that works because it's thick enough, but I want to play around with that stamped gesso when it's dry with watercolors, because watercolors usually need a different kind of, page prep. Gesso is usually more for acrylic, but that's why I want to play with it. This is something that I do clean off my stamps right away because it's thick, kind of goopy, and if it dries in the stamps, you're going to lose a lot of the clarity of the design. So that one, when I stamped the texture in, I wanted to see if I had enough. It gave me a bit of a stamp over there since there was enough gesso on the stamp. And those are going to have to dry before I can really play with them. But I can, if I want to do some other stamping now, so I like the things scattered around, but it's feeling very cute and very neat. So I want to mess it up a little bit. And to do that, I'm going to need to clear things out of the way because what I'm going to do is going to get messy. You know what this means? This means it's time to spray. So I recently got a few new Distress sprays, and I haven't even opened them. But I do have this nice dusty Concord purple, and so that seems like that might definitely work with my palette here. But I pulled out, tattered rose, old paper. I think old paper would be nice to kind of take things down a notch and mellow them out a little bit. I'm not going to go as dark as, twig or anything like that to make it necessarily look antique-y, but I just wanted to, mess it up a little bit. And we're going to try and do this between wind gusts. And at a good distance, because I definitely want a pretty dispersed splatter. That was Tattered Rose. I don't usually like pinks, but it's really kind of a peachy color. And now this is Old Paper. So I definitely did a lot more of that one. Yeah, I think I'm going to set this aside for now and let the gesso dry, because then if I could go in with some watercolor and pick out some of those designs, that just might be it. It was just kind of fun with the bee and the colors. Springtime. Okay, I came back to this page and everything is dry. The gel medium might be a little bit sticky, but the gesso is dry enough that I can play with a little bit of watercolor over top. And I've decided that I wanted to bring in a little bit of yellow because the bee is the only yellow in the page. And so that is just something simple that I can do. So everything has been coated with, you know, acrylic-based products. The gesso, the gel medium, and so the watercolor doesn't really want to stick to anything. There's really nothing that's porous anymore. But sometimes you can get it to pool inside the impressions in the gesso, and then if you leave it alone, it'll eventually dry. Now that probably wouldn't be something that I would do on, you know, a piece I was going to hang on the wall, but it's something that we can do in the art journal because it's not going to harm anything. It's going to be protected by the book. So that's all I needed. That's all I wanted. It just changes things up a little bit. I'm really happy with the leaf extending not only across the gutter, but kind of tying the page into the picture. And then other places it's got some overlap so it doesn't look totally stuck on. But really, that was just fun playing with the materials. A spring palette inspired by that photo from a seed catalog. So, you know, if you get a seed catalog in the mail after you order your veggies that you want to plant, then by all means, take that catalog to the page. But this brings this weekly Spark episode to a close. So hopefully that sparked something for you. And as always, subscribe, hit the like button if you are so inclined, and I will see you next week. Bye.